What's going on, everybody? It's me, Sloppy. Ah, a good day today. Crazy, crazy stuff going on. But I want to kind of pivot my day today to something different instead of talking about, well, it'll be a little bit about Pred Talk, but kind of like opinion, opinion stuff, like what do people think? What do people? What's their opinion on my question? I should put a question mark on the damn end of the damn thumbnail. But yeah, should kids? What's up, Chain? What's up, news reporter? What's up, Soviet Cyprus? Goddamn, at 2:41 p.m. Is that the time I put the damn uh, uh, scheduled stream? Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you responding super early. And then Chayan, I know you want to come in, but we will wait. I started watching horror movies at age 8, and I turned out okay. I don't know, Jaden. No, some people might not see. uh, I'm just kidding, kind of. My perspective. Nothing been exposing Hannah. Yeah. Soviet sent me some very, very crazy stuff. The girl person, Hannah, she lives kind of close to me. I want to say 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours away from me. So yeah, what do you mean, kids? 18? Well, kids like kids like. I should have been more specific on it. I should have been a little bit more specific. Maybe I'm guessing, when they're developing from like 8 to 15, let's say 8 to 15, watching R-rated movies, or because nowadays kids 8 to 16, they have phones nowadays, and they have the internet, right? They have all these avenues to watch very different stuff. Back in my day, goddamn, I sound old when I say that. But it was VCRs, like DVDs, um, Spice Channel, the blurred one, the one you have to kind of like, oh shit, that's a nipple, kind of shit. So, but nowadays, it's way way easier to get R-rated stuff, and parents, a lot of the parents don't. Uh, I know I am a little old, little old. I've been through the '90s and the 2000s. So yeah, I've seen everything change. Back in my day, we had magazines. Yeah, that too. That magazines. What do you call it? Playboy was the thing. I used to, when I was a kid, we used to live in a trailer park, and some guy passed away, and they threw out all his stuff to the trash can. And like every kid does, we went dumpster diving. Well, us trailer park guys, we went dumpster diving, and there was a lot of magazines and a couple of DVD, VCRs, VHS. We'll ask, well, I'll ask you, would you have your kids watch Halloween? uh, no. Maybe after they like 16, 17, I would. But I don't think Halloween was rated R, right? I think it was like mature or PG-13. I we I guess. Oh, the OG Halloween. I haven't even seen the OG Halloween. So I don't know. Maybe, but no. I, right now we don't show them anything involving violence, anything involving, I guess, sexual acts or stuff like that. Yeah, Jurassic Park. No, He hasn't seen them. Most of the things we have been showing our kids while they develop is very, I guess, kid friendly stuff. PG-13, PG stuff like that. And we're still kind of like a little worried that when they get into like middle school and high school, friends are gonna be like, yeah, look at this video of this, crazy stuff. And I think that's when we don't have the power to control what they watch. I showed my daughter Halloween 1 through 4 when she was 4. Halloween for the most part thing compared to some other horror movies out there. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would show them, I guess, little snippets, but not a full blown rated R stuff. Like a little quick thing. But yeah. So I was talking to I was talking to my friend, and he was kind of saying, "Oh yeah, we watched this movie. We watched what's that movie? Sausage Fest or Sausage something? The one with the animal, well, not the animal, the foods that they're getting killed and stuff like that." And I told him like, that's isn't there like a lot of like weird like sexual stuff and some crazy ass stuff. He's like, yeah, yeah, but it's there you go, Sausage Party. My kid watches South Park. Ah, like the new South Park, I don't the beginning the beginning South Park was like okay, because the new South Park they start showing genitals and they start stuff like that. The first South Park they were calling talking about illegal aliens and stealing cows, just stuff like that. So yeah, I watch South Park, but I don't let my kids watch South Park. So somebody that love Family Guy, but we showed her on the TV version that was edited. Yeah, Family Guy. I think it's a little bit more double meanings, like the double entendres. So I don't think kids like would understand. But I think what it called Family Guy is rated mature, right? Not rated R. I'm talking about like rated R, where it's sex, boobies, um, a lot of profanity, a lot of murdering, unaliving. I mean, stuff like that. That will kind of mess your mind. As a kid, as an adult, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Possibly, but as a kid, there's a higher chance for you to kind of desensitize yourself from unaliving, uh, stuff like that. Like you'll think it's normal if you watch a lot of those type of things. Like you won't bat an eye when you hear on the news that your neighbor got unalived or something like that, like because you watch so much of that kind of stuff. And South Park is better than Family Guy. I don't know. I like Family Guy. Family Guy is the more inappropriate. Simpsons. I don't think. Well, I don't know. I think I watched Simpsons when I was a kid. I didn't understand some of the jokes, but now as an adult, I'm like, oh my god. But I would say your generation is just soft, but it seems like you're from the. Yeah, no, me. I was born in the '80s. I was born in the '80s, so we did watch a lot of stuff that we shouldn't have watched. But the newer generation has a quick and easy and longer. Like back, us, we had to go hide in the closet or in the bathroom to watch the magazines, like you say, or wait until mom leaves to put the VHS on to kind of watch it real quick and with no volume, stuff like that. Now they're constantly watching it. You have your phone. I had VHS and magazines. So like, hey, well, I think you're what, almost 30, so maybe you're at the end of those type of things. Now it's just you have your phone and you go onto a website and it just asks you, are you 18? You click yes, and you could be 13, 14 and be watching all that stuff. If you have parental controls, then you have a friend that maybe their parents are not as strict and go watch it with him, kind of a little gay, but but it happens. It happens more now than ever. So my, like my thing is, should you let them watch them, and are you able to stop them? Me, I don't think you're able to stop them. You're able to semi-control it with your parental controls on your phone. I started watching South Park at 4 years old. Goddamn, TV news reporter. I messed up and left the DVD in the DVD player once, and my mom accidentally hit. I'm sure the belt felt bad that day. Well, if you got your whooping, I used to get whooped a lot as a kid, because I was a very, 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 kids want to play, do random ass shit, and moms don't want to let us have fun. Well, fun back in the day, but yeah. Well, my brother blamed me one time. We had a VHS, and it was called Titanic. Titanic, and I guess my mom enjoyed that movie when they came out, and the two VHS. Oh god damn! I'm talking like Blockbuster and shit over here. And she played it, and it wasn't Titanic; it was Titanic. And my brother blamed me, and yeah, so I was not doing so well that day. Just blame me, sloppy. Everyone does. Hey, yeah, well, shit, might have to now. Every time something happens to me, I'm like fucking cheating. I still have PTSD from the belt. Hey, at least you only got the belt. Some people were getting. My mom made us go outside, pick what do you call it? A twig, not a twig, but like a branch. Take it all out, and then bam. And if we got a one that she didn't approve, then she will get a pretty big one, and yeah, whoop our butt. Or the hanger or the chancla. Yeah. Switch. There you go. Yeah, man, sloppy year old. Yeah. I'm up there. I'm an old man. What can I say? It happens. But yeah. Oh shit, you too. Yeah. Switch, man. The switch messes you up. Yeah, but it makes you think. But it made us better people. Now as adults, we think twice before we do something stupid. The kids nowadays, they just do stupid shit. There's no repercussions. And then when something happens, like, oh, I should have disciplined them better. All that nonsense. But yeah, like I said, our generation, I guess, had to dig deep to find these type of things, and we're more respectful. Yeah, we try to be. We give respect when respect is given. If they disrespect us, then yeah, of course we're gonna talk some nonsense. But when we don't, when we are nice, and hopefully they're nice to us. But yeah, like kids nowadays, they have their iPhone, whatever, and they have so many places to look for rated R stuff, X-rated stuff, and I don't. I think parents should do more about it, but I think yeah, I don't. I personally limit what monitor. I mean, what my kids do, and I don't know how other parents are. I don't know how other people are. There's how kids react to these type of things. Remember to hell no yeah, back in the day when it was dial up, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, you want to see something crazy?" And I'm like, "Not really, but sure." And yeah, it started all normal, and then the cup came out. And after that, it wasn't normal anymore. But I think there's way more crazy ass stuff now, Wayne, than back then. Now it's just girls want to get paid to do some weird ass shit, and they do it. I guess Two Girls in One Cup was our like disgusting, crazy. I don't. I'm still debating if that stuff in the cup was real. Stuff manure, but I don't know. I didn't look. I only watched it once, and I barely watched it. I closed my eyes, so I don't know. Maybe you could tell me. Maybe you watched it more than I did. Damn, Savannah keeps sharing my post, bro. Oh yeah, YouTube reporter. You think your name means more to you knowing the Lakers got the Mavs? Ah, shut up. Nico Harrison fucking did it on purpose. He got the first pick. 1.1 point something percent chance to get the number one pick, and they get the number one pick. That's kind of fishy. Something's fishy. They want to get that Cooper Flag guy. Very, very fishy, but it's okay. It's okay. Lakers will do. They're gonna make Luka decrease his fat content in his body. But yeah, it's always fishy. Yeah. How the fuck did they get? How the fuck they get first round or first pick? Fuck the Mavs. Anyways, I guess I'll put the. I know Chayton want to come and say something about kids and stuff like that. It's about kids, and if you let them watch R-rated movies, because he plays Overwatch in the offseason floppy. Motherfucker. Well, LeBron is gonna hopefully keep him in shape. But yeah, main thing for me is me personally, I can't. I don't. I have 18-year-olds now, so they watch it. They watch some R-rated stuff, but my youngins, they don't. How old? Well, like from 8 to like 15. I guess it depends on what the rated R movie is. Well, like striptease or anything involving sexual acts, like 50 Shades of Grey, or what is that? 50 Shades of Black or something like that. Under 13, hard now, huh? That sounds a little odd. Oh, under 13, hard no. Oh, okay. Oh. I was gonna say, hey, that didn't sound right, Cypress. I'll be like, yeah, I want to look into you. I don't know. All right, I'll let you in chain. What's up?
Tom, your grammar's gonna get you into trouble one day.
Yeah, they're gonna screenshot that message right there.
I know my grammar is off because I usually type everything with a capital letter at the beginning, but of every word. But fuck. Anyway, I won't be honest because I know you said you wanted to you don't want it to go too long, but yeah, with me again, I guess I did grow up with that, and being a mischievous kid, even if I was I couldn't watch every fucking horror movie in the world back when I was a kid. Like I could watch Halloween, Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, but movies like House of a Thousand Corpses, Rob Zombie, I couldn't do that. I had to fucking, I had to sneak and watch that shit. It wasn't really until around the time I was 13 where my mom was more lax on whatever I could watch. Like I went to go see the Rob Zombie remake at 12 actually, because it came out in August of 2007. So with me, I kind of look at it as, what you were saying about 50 Shades, like there are specific movies that I wouldn't show my kid in regards to, even if I'm I show them Halloween. Yes, there were some violent ones later, especially later on, but I stopped at 4 because I thought, okay, the worst bit of nudity you got in that was a titty shot. Other than that, you didn't get really anything else. And especially with Halloween 1, there wasn't a lot of it wasn't really known for being a very gory movie. It was more psychological. So I've always said now. I've had a conversation with my fiance about this because we've kind of talked about different things, and like as my daughter got older, I tried to find like gateway horror movies, like stuff that is like
Gateway horror? What is that?
He's
gateway,
talking
like
about Goosebumps, right?
like gateway, like stuff that
Oh,
is stuff
like
is
Gateway,
that's
that's
horror
weird.
adjacent, but it's not. It's more made for kids. Like
Are you afraid of the dark?
yeah, or Goosebumps. My
Yeah.
girl, or my daughter loved the shit out of Goosebumps. She got scared, but she enjoyed it. So as she got older, like I would kind of mix the like certain movies, but even then, I knew what movies not to show her.
See,
Like
that's the direction. Sorry to interrupt, but that's the
go
direction
ahead.
I thought we were going that direction. I didn't even consider the sexual content because that's just not the first thing on my mind when it comes to rated R. I was thinking gore, zombies, life themes that are like scary to a child that like they can't comprehend at a young age. But yeah, definitely sexual is like not even, I don't even think it's a question. It's definitely no, at 100% no.
That's why I didn't show her any of
even
the Friday
over-
13th movies, for
Yeah,
example.
even older than 13. Like I would say that like 17 would be the age that's appropriate. Now that being said, at the age of like 16, I was still finding ways to find porn on the internet.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I do think
we were the ones that were looking for it. The
That's
parents
what I'm
were.
about to say. Yeah, like I think it's different when a parent is enabling or not enabling it. Technically, yeah, but it's more so approving it to a child under 18. That's where I think like if a kid's doing it and like behind the scenes, then they know it's bad, So like to them,
Well,
it's like
okay, Tom, I got a question for you. So like, okay, and this is old because back magazine days, right? What's your thoughts on, like I did do this to clarify real quick, but like, what's your thoughts on a parent or a grandparent, let's say their grandkid or kid is 16 and, they decide to buy them their first own Playboy magazine. What's your thoughts on that?
again, it's the same thing with the movies. You're basically approving a behavior that a parent should not be approving. I don't know. Does that make sense?
I'll say my grandfather bought me my first Playboy, so at that age,
so classic for like that generation. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's weird and it's a different time. And I also think that back then they lived in a box, and nowadays,
my grandfather wanted to take me to the bunny ranch after I turned 18.
Yeah, but again, their world was so small in comparison to the world we live in today. And obviously all these bad things existed back then, but their world was just small. So like, I don't think they could comprehend especially if you're like we have access to so many horrible things that the society does and these days on the internet. Back then, I feel like the media has participated in this. They made everybody ignorant to the dangers of letting kids consume adult content. Not I say kids, but you know what I mean, 16 years old. So they kind of like nowadays we're more aware of the potential messaging and signaling we're sending the 16-year-old when we do that. I'm not exactly sure your grandfather was fully aware of the signals that he was sending. And again, maybe you turned out fine in regards to that. So like,
I'm just kidding.
Like what I'm saying is like you didn't go and murder hookers on the side of the road.
Like, well, yeah, that's why I always say with GT,
like it didn't make you like this fiend for sex. Like
I don't know about that one.
Well, he's older. My point is he's older. And it's fine at his age, but like at 16, I can't imagine that because the girls you're looking at. Let me ask you, since you admitted to it, by him and it is your grandfather. It's not your parents, it's your grandfather. Just so we're clear, because it's a different signal.
Yeah.
Totally different signal when your parents are enabling it and that uncle or grandfather's enabling it, because it's just different. And not to say it's okay, it's just different. But anyway, what did it do to you, Chayton, when that happened? Did it turn you into a sex fiend? Was that the reason why you're addicted to sex? or do you?
No.
How did you manage that?
No, and I was gonna, to the best of our knowledge, he doesn't kill hookers on Sutter Road.
What I'm saying is somebody at a young age would see that and want that and can't get it. And
well, also, like, I already lost my virginity at fucking 14. The girl, my first ex was like 17. So like by that point,
and I'm not surprised you said that, because I think that I did too. Like, I think most people lose as teenagers.
So by the time we were because we were together for almost my entire high school year, but she already graduated. Like by the time, like when I got that, you know, I was like I already knew about Playboy. I found my grandfather's stash, you know, when I was very young. I found it and the only reason why I even looked at it was because China and Sable were on the cover. I didn't give it like whoever, I don't know, whatever fucking Playmate of the month was. I didn't care about that. I just saw Sable, and I was like probably 5 or 6. I can't remember. And I'm like thinking, ooh, Sable. And then I looked and I went, oh, but like I was like, you know, but by the time I was
your introduction to porn, like, right?
That, but even then, I looked at it and then I just put it back. It didn't do anything to me. And again, I wasn't even looking for it. It was just something I randomly found, and so I went.
How old did you say you were?
5 or 6. I can't remember.
See, I don't. That's crazy.
Now again,
I do think if I discovered something like that at that age, I probably wouldn't comprehend it either, to be honest.
Yeah. So like with me, it wasn't like anything. I just remember it because again, I would like in my grandfather's home, and the garage had a lot of different boxes, so I would just find different things. So I found some old wrestling related stuff that my mom had in storage and stuff, right? So like, but what I was saying about the thing, like I was already having sex with this like at 16.
So it didn't really do anything.
No, I already had like, you know, in this chick I was like by the time I was 16. My ex at the time, she was like 20, almost either 20 or about to be 20. So like,
she's a predator. Get her.
Well, okay. Here's the other thing. Like back then, you didn't think anything of it legally or morally because they're like, oh, you're just banging an older chick. But again, I guarantee you though, if it was the other way around, if it was a girl, a 16 banging a fucking 20-year-old dude, it'd be different. It goes back to the hypocrisy of how we view things, right?
Well, yeah, double standard. That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's a weird. That's a weird. I actually look at it as they're both weird, like in the same regard.
I agree. Like
society looks at it differently, and most guys as high schoolers, if their teacher's hot and like, they're not going to say anything because they're going to ruin what they would consider a good thing. So I get it. So it goes both ways though. But to me, I consider it the same weird.
Now I will elaborate though. This was my ex before my ex-wife, so no recollection, anything. And trust me, she's is like I don't really talk about her too much. That's for totally different.
I'll never understand like that concept of a teacher wanting to do anything to a student. I'll never get it, and people can explain to me the weirdness of it and why mentally ill people would think, but I'll never comprehend it fully, because to me it's just, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Well, to be fair, the one good thing was like at my high school, right? I'm not encouraging it or anything, but there was no hot teachers, male or female, granted for any girls or anything. There was no hot
teachers at my school either.
Yeah, so like even if a teacher tried to like flirt with me, I like that never happened. But if that were to happen, well, my ex would have cut her. But anyway, if that were to happen, I would have been like, ew. You're old.
That doesn't.
You're not even attractively old. You're just old.
No. I had one teacher that was the dance teacher. Her last name was Miss Choates. So everybody said, you know, Miss Choates on this, and that's the only reason I remember her, because of that name people gave her. Because everybody will be watching outside of the gym class and watching her teach the girls how to dance. The girls thought we were looking at them, but yeah, we weren't looking at the girl. We're looking at the teacher, but yeah, none of us got at her. You know, we were all shy kids. So.
Well, I'll say this: like we go back to like finding a play. Was my first time I saw a pair of tits was in the original Fright Night in back in it like came out in the 80s, but I watched it like when I was 4 years old. That was like my introduction to vampire movies. That and Interview with the Vampire. But that was like, again, watched it. Didn't think anything of it. I just thought the music was really cool. That literally was.
That's crazy. You remember? Like, I don't even remember the first nude body I seen. Like at that age, like I don't.
Well, you know what's funny? I don't remember it. Like I only remember it because I've seen it so many times. But also, I remember it more for the music.
I remember what I seen. Sorry to interrupt. It was a drawing. It wasn't even like it was something I found like in a school. Like some kid drew something, and it was probably not well done at all. I'm like vaguely remembering it, but they like drew a naked girl like with like pen. And I remember like it was in their binder. I don't know what I was doing in the binder, but I came across it. And I guess that would be technically considered the first thing I seen as a kid. And like that was, to me, I was like, what is this? This is weird. Like, so it's kind of funny that my recollection that I go to is of a drawing that was probably done by a like 11-year-old. So like
the only other thing I could think of, I'll say about Friday Night, the music. I thought the guy who played the vampire, Jerry Dandridge, but the actor was from The Princess Bride. He was really cool. I just thought he was so like cool. I wanted to be like him when I grew up, just because I thought he was so like charismatic.
So I think this goes to my point where this is why I think as a parent it's inappropriate to introduce your child to a and by child I mean teenager. Obviously, I said under 13. It's a no, but because they're so curious as it is, and if you're going to do that, number one, you should do it in a educational way.
Yeah.
And it should be controlled, because schools start to introduce that body stuff by middle school-ish. And there should be a lesson involved, because you at least want to. So like, I don't think a movie or a porno is the best way to like introduce it.
I didn't really see porn until like my teen. Like I think I saw soft
like
porn.
Some of the movies, I say that because some of the movies, some of the R movies are sometimes like porn.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the way you introduce it.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, we're both talking about this. You're so curious as a kid, and if your parents are kind of like navigating it in a whatever kind of way, you're going to probably do the same as a child.
Well, I was gonna say, like, when I watched these horror movies, I didn't go and try to kill people. I didn't go try to bite people. I didn't do that.
But you were playing games that were equally as violent.
Or even playing the games. Like, again, my mom was so weird sometimes. She wouldn't let me play Call of Duty back when it was rated T, but she would let me play Halo, even though Halo was rated M and Call of Duty at the time was T.
You and
Aliens was okay.
So you and I are close in age, but we're just enough apart. Our parents might have a different generational gap here. My parents knew nothing.
For example,
my mother knew nothing about games, and to her, games like were just for kids. So, and she had no idea that I was playing Grand Theft Auto 3 at like
criminal.
At the age of like 12. You know what I'm saying? Like, she had no idea that I was doing that. But like,
I didn't start playing like MRA games like freely until my teens. Like, that's why like I told people I didn't play like GTA until GTA 4 and stuff like that.
But
my mom wasn't a gamer. My mom wasn't a gamer, but her brother was. So that's
there you go. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Your family had a gaming. See, me, I never got in trouble as a kid. So like, to me, I could see her perspective now. She's probably thinking, well, he's responsible. And maybe that's where now my mother would never, ever let me watch a rated R movie. And it would be awkward to watch a sex scene with my parents. Even to this
you ever see the show Pam and Tommy about Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson? It came on Hulu a few years ago.
Really? I didn't know that. That's weird.
It's really good. It has Sebastian Stan as Tommy Lee.
Did they show the actual porno on the?
No, but you kind of see like a penis in it, and I'm kind of like, and
what Chayton was looking for.
Mind you, I'm watching. I'm looking it up because I'm watching with my mother. Now, granted, full disclosure, I didn't know about this before. We watched it totally blind. We just said, "Oh," because my mom lived through that era of the Pamela Anderson, Tommy Lee shit. You know, so that's the thing. What I was gonna say though, it was so funny. So when my mom didn't want me to play Call of Duty, it was on my 10th birthday. My grandfather and I went to Blockbuster, and we went to go, and my mom banned me from getting the game. Well, maybe people could say I manipulate my grandfather. I don't know. But the point is, I showed my grandfather.
I don't believe that because your grandfather was giving you Playboys. I don't think there was any manipulation going on.
I showed him Call of Duty Finest Hour on the PS2. My grandfather looked at it. I told my mom didn't want me to get it. And he looked at it, and he's like, because he's an ex-military guy, he was like, I don't know why she doesn't want you to see it. I'll rent it for you. It could be educational.
He didn't care. He just didn't care. He said,
yeah. My grandfather, because that's the only father figure I had. He was strict on certain ways. Like, again, he didn't put up with my shit and all that. But he it was kind of like, I don't know. It felt like he had a chance again to be a dad since, both parents were grown, and he was just like, he kind of was at the don't care period. He was like, as long as he doesn't fucking shoot up a school or do anything stupid, I'll show him things. My grandfather was always like, I will always say this. Outside of when he got Alzheimer's and nothing bad happened except him just forgetting things. My grandfather was always good to me. He was like, he spoiled me a little bit with certain things that maybe not parents should do, but also he was strict on other things. But yeah, he was like, oh, this could be educational. He was right, because I found out certain things about wars, like, even though it was more commercialized for the game, but I found out certain things because of the game. So he was correct. But
I learned about World War II playing the Battlefield 1942. I learned about all the battles, and I learned about all the weapons.
D-Day. I think it was a Medal of Honor.
Yeah, man, that was right. Yeah, no, I learned. You know what? These war games, I will say, were very educational. I learned about the weapons, the M1 Grand, all these stuff, all the battlefields. Like I said, D-Day was a big one, but then in Japan when they stormed the beach. Again, I can't remember the name of the battles, but I knew them back then, and I knew them very well.
And some I'll say as well. We're talking about us. So I mentioned this earlier with my daughter, right? When in terms of showing her stuff, sometimes it wasn't the best. Like showing her certain Family Guy and all that stuff. So she loved it to the point at 2 years old she was dancing, singing along to a song. It was just hilarious. But when around when she got around 4 or 5, it felt like my mom was trying to act like my grandfather be more involved and I love my mom to death, but I was like, okay, let me parent, I'll fail or succeed on my own, right? So one day we were because I tried to show her Fright Night and my ex-wife didn't want her to see it because they had tits. And I'm thinking, oh, come on. It's not like there's that's too egregious in there. And then so I was like, okay, fine. So about a little bit later, we were at home. My ex-wife and my mom were going to go to the store or something. They were going to do something. They were going to be out for a while. And I told her, I said, hey, if you're good today, we're going to watch a scary movie. I was like, we shook hands and all that. We went to watch Halloween. And we watched Halloween 4. That was the first one because that was my first introduction to Halloween. So I was like, okay, we'll see how and I was like, okay, see how far she gets into it. If she fucking gets scared, I'll turn it off and all that stuff. Or if she feels like something's wrong, I'll turn it off. She went through the whole movie.
I'm sorry, Robbie. How old was she?
I think 4 or 5. I think 4. And she's on the couch. She's on the couch at the arms, with her elbows on the thing, just staring at the TV, watching it. And at the end of Halloween 4, spoiler alert for a 30, 40-year-old movie, when Jamie, which is played by Danielle Harris, who's a kid, tries to kill her mother. The movie ends, and then she sits up, looks at me, she points at the screen and says, "She dead." And even though she didn't die, but I thought, oh my God, you paid attention. I'm so proud. That's
the thing. They do pay attention. That's why, for me, it's not a very my kids. Me personally, my kids, because they know you could think 3 or 4 years old, they're not paying attention, but they do pay attention.
Yeah. That's like what I talked about Fright Night earlier. I will say this though, just to let everybody know, my daughter did not go and stab my ex-wife in the bathtub with a pair of scissors after the movie, so everything turned out okay.
Yeah,
So.
I'm not going to judge you for doing that. Me personally, I wouldn't do that. But again, there's a few things you got to factor in. Like you should know the kids, know the kids, like and you obviously should because you're around them all the time. So you should know the kids that you're presenting this content to. That's a big factor, probably factor number one.
She only got violent when it came to the Joker because she had a fear of clowns. Because now that was my fault. I showed her It Chapter 1 because we were trying all the ways to make her stop biting, but Pennywise biting Georgie's arm off made her stop biting. But which worked. So job well done. Problem was she became afraid of clowns, and then it turned from fear to hate. She wanted to. This is the only time I got kind of concerned. She's watching Batman the Animated Series. She's like laughing about Joker getting beaten up by Batman. She's like, I want to shoot the Joker in the head with my gun. That got me concerned. So what happened?
That's crazy because my kids, I never let watch anything. Here's the crazy thing. My kids didn't watch anything fighting wise until they were like 7 or 8, which is true. Like we literally did not allow them to watch anything like of the nature. Now,
even Batman the Animated Series, that
would not have been allowed. No.
Wow. I'm not trying to just like I respect that. Like
you have to know, there's a reason because like they would show signs of maybe they're not, we're not going there yet. You know what I mean? But it's crazy because like I say that and I notice like because those that know I have 2 older ones and now they're much older and then I got 2 younger ones. And my younger ones, now it's harder to manage the content they consume with the older ones in the house because now it's like I can't always be present all the time with 4 different kids to kind of balance. So if one kid decides they're going to watch something and play Fortnite or whatever, and then my youngest comes in and I don't realize what's going on, it's like, oh, so like now it becomes harder. Now my daughter she doesn't care. She doesn't care. She doesn't watch that. She's not into that. But my youngest is consuming content that I really have a hard time controlling because, and that's been an issue that we're trying to work through. But again, it's kind of like just how it is. It's like, it's really harder with multiple people in the house. Like, and I can't be like, you're not allowed to play Fortnite anymore during the day because that's weird. It's because it's my responsibility to keep them out of the room.
And also, it's different. Like, if you have different parenting styles, like if you're like my girl and I, we've talked about like if we ever decide to have kids, some of our parenting styles are probably going to clash because we both have different ways of raising kids. Mine. No offense to my fiance, but like. I have the experience due to having one, but it's just like, but it could be different too, because I have experience raising a girl. I don't have experience raising a boy. That's going to be if ever we have a kid and she has a son, if it's a son, it's going to be basically like a brand new. I feel like Tom, how'd you who'd you have first, a son or a daughter?
A son. I had 2 sons, a daughter, and then a son.
So did it feel different when you had the daughter? Like, did it feel like a new something fresh? Like, I'm not saying fresh, like in, oh, it's a girl, but like in the experience part.
At first, no, but definitely yes now, because there's a big difference. Like, she is different than all 3. In her, like, she's into it is different. It's totally different as they get older and they develop. And every kid's different. That's the thing.
Yeah,
like, they all are different. I got one kid who's like insanely good at sports, inherited a lot of my athletic ability. He's better at basketball than me, and
everybody's better than Cypress in basketball.
I hate to say he's not as close to me in football at all.
Well, I was going to say
I don't hold him to that.
Last time I because I still keep up with the family that has my daughter, right? Against what people think. Like, she's doing soccer. I was like, that was like, she's been doing that for the last few years. And I'm like thinking, I wasn't expecting that, because
it's weird because like, you don't expect it, but like every kid's
she's really good at it too. I was like, it's like, I did football in fucking high school, but like, it's just weird to me. Like I wouldn't mind have done if I did soccer, but it was just not something I was interested in. But it's just crazy when I'm getting told that she's doing soccer, and I'm like, whoa,
well, just like, not to go off on a tangent, but it is shocking. And in terms of my son who does, he's like what made me good at football is my instincts, and you can't teach instincts.
Same.
I try to go through with him and like what I do, and it's instinctual. He's got the athletic, but like it's just like things that like he either has or he don't. But what he's lacking in that department, he has instincts I didn't have in basketball. He's so fucking good at defense. He won 2 titles in a row, 2 championships, both years he's played. Now I think he's gonna 3-peat this year. Like he's just so far better than me at basketball. So where I was like nasty at football, he's equal to me in basketball, if not better. And I keep telling him that. But like again, he's different. Now I got my other son who's not into that at all. Complete opposite. I've raised them both the same, same limitations, same everything. They practically grew up on the same rules. But they couldn't be any more polar opposites. And it just proves that no matter what you do to raise kids, they will go on their own path eventually. You have no control over it. Life will do its thing. All you can do is prepare them, but they're going to be who they are regardless. And they're going to make mistakes, and they're going to learn from those mistakes. And then that'll shape them. You only can shape them for like 6 or 7 years of their life. And everything else is learned experience. And I've learned that after having them. Like you just got to hope, you just got to put them in a position to get good life experiences. That's it. All you can do is kind of put them in that position, and then everything else is up to them. Whatever they do with those things is up to them. As a parent, all you can do is give them the opportunity. And then when they do make mistakes, you really just got to learn to understand that they're learning. And you just got to hope the mistakes they make. Because sometimes, and I luckily, thank God, I haven't had this situation, but there are people in my family who have children who've had the situation where their kids make huge mistakes, kicked out of school type of mistakes, and these impact their college potential mistakes. And it's not the parents' fault. Again, it's just kids get caught up in the wrong crowd, and it sucks to see. But every kid has their own journey, and it can't always be put on the parents' shoulders because it's factors.
Go ahead. You can finish. My bad.
No, I'm saying like it's just tons of factors that are beyond the parent's control. All the parent can do is put them in the right position once they get into school age. And I think school age is where it becomes less in the parent's control. Do
you think nowadays, do you think there's over influencing
on the social media? Yeah, I think
social media.
Because kids will escape. Kids will escape what we would go through in our age, I guess, when we were in school, and they'll resort to like social media, and those influences are more than likely worse.
That was something I despised my ex-wife for, because she was getting I wasn't someone who felt like comfortable letting her use the phone a lot, even at like a young age. I'm talking.
Yeah, none of my kids are allowed to use the phone in their bedrooms.
My ex, she would let her use it whenever she got moody or if we were on the bus or some shit. And like, that's why for a while, she was just watching stuff on TikTok at like 4, 5, 6, whatever. And I just think
you can't control what they're watching. Like, that's the worst.
Yeah, I'm just like thinking, like, again, I let them play, like I let her play games, I let her like watch TV, like some cartoons. I don't like, I try to, like, especially back when Disney Plus was more kid friendly for the most part.
Did you approve everything she downloaded? Because we have this thing where like we get a message if they try to download something.
We never got to that point, but it was something that, we would watch like Frozen or stuff like that. Even when she was in the Batman, right? She watched Batman the animated series. I would let her play like the Batman Arkham games, the first 2. She wanted to go and play Arkham Knight, and I told her no, even though personally I still also understand why it's rated M. But you know what? I just was like, no. She wanted to watch the Harley Quinn movie that came out a few years ago. No. She wanted to watch a Harley Quinn TV show. Fuck no.
Yeah. But it's crazy because you watched the Halloween one, So what? But Halloween is rated what, R?
Yeah, but Halloween. I don't. None of these fucking Halloween movies are scary.
Well, that Harley Quinn show that was out,
anyway.
that's been out for a few years. That's it's an animated show, but it's very violent. It has Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn getting it on.
Doesn't it glorify violence too? I think that there's a big Halloween.
Literally, one guy calls Wonder Woman a cunt.
Yeah, I think that I can understand somewhat what Shane's saying, where like those movies glorify the violence, where Halloween, it's very clear this is bad. Mm-hmm. It's like this is bad stuff. Where I think as a 6-year-old watching Harley Quinn, you're thinking, wow, violence is cool. Look at how cool she looks. So I could see that.
I see a kid saying, wow, one day I want to be like Michael Myers. You know,
yeah, no one says that. Nobody says, well, yeah, people do say that.
There's some.
There's more kids saying I want to be Harley Quinn. I'm imagining.
Even if you go by, if you just go by the animated series from the 90s, which was where Harley Quinn was introduced. If you go by that, you think for the most part, outside of Mad Love, you think that they have this lovey relationship. But if you go into the deeper meaning and the comics and shit, they had a very abusive relationship. That is like one of the case in points of what not to do in a relationship. And so like people look at that, but a lot of people don't know that she was physically, mentally abused by this man. But again, it goes like with cartoons, depending on what cartoon it is, you don't know that. You don't know some of the fucked up things Joker did in the comics, like where he peeled his face off and it to him.
Cartoons are very hard to judge because
unless it's an R-rated cartoon like Harley Quinn or the Killing Joke or something like that.
Sometimes they aren't even rated, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Just show your guys Bluey. That's it.
Yeah, I actually visited the Bluey house recently.
Oh yeah,
Jordan there. Was Jordan there?
Yeah, Jordan was in the walls. It was kind of weird. I said, "Why do you hide the outlets?"
but well, even then, I had a weird again going back to kind of the generational thing. I had a weird childhood where I would grow up and watch cartoons like Ed, Edd n Eddy, Johnny Bravo, stuff like that. And then I would go and watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is not.
Yeah, but our adult cartoons were different. You go on Max and you look at some of those Batman cartoons and you think, "Oh wow, it's Batman," and then you watch it and you're like, "Oh wow, this is like not really for kids." Like
even when you go and watch some of the cartoons from back in the 90s, like again, that's why I love the kids' cartoons.
I think that the Batman animated series was a little violent in comparison to what we'd consider kid-friendly cartoons these days.
Yeah, there was a lot more in-depth stuff regarding the show. There was like stuff regarding like trauma, like mental illness. There was there was a lot of things that a kid may not know. They just may see a flashy moment, they think it's cool. But that's why I say one thing I loved about cartoons back in the day compared to now is that those cartoons were generational. You could watch it as an adult, as a kid, and you may not get some of the things, and you may just sit there and fucking eat your dinner and just start shadow punching the wall, like and all that. And then you watch it now and you understand some of the references that were made. Like again, a lot of cartoons back in the 90s, there was a lot of sexual innuendos in those shows.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I always bring this up to everybody. There was a scene in fucking Rocko's Modern Life where he's like Rocco's looking for a job and he's going to a hotline, and so he takes the job. He's like, ooh baby, ooh baby.
I remember that. Yeah.
You know, like again, you don't know. Like a kid does not know what that means, but then when you're watching it now, he was on sex hotline.
Yeah, but even like the stuff from Rocko's Modern Life where his boss is a fathead, and they literally call him a fathead. And then every time he has to go visit his boss, he's like, "Oh, I gotta go to the," it was just like very real. And like going back and thinking about it, it was kind of like a take on reality that we didn't understand as kids, but now older, it's like, oh wait, my boss is a fathead. And he's kind of right. All these years later.
But like
remember the ass thing, like the workout tapes, and it would be like instead of like your body, it would be like Rocco and like his friend Heifer, which I swear to God, it had to have been a fat person pun. that we didn't understand. And then like they were watching the workout tape, and it was like this guy, and all he did was like move his ass cheeks back and forth, and they were like trying to like, what the fuck was that?
Like, well, look at Dexter's Laboratory. I thought the mom was
yes.
Like, I was like 13 when I started watching Dexter's Laboratory, and I was like, God damn, they got some, big booty.
Yeah.
So they sexualized Dexter's mom.
One of the most like adult but still kids show that was out there was Animaniacs.
I loved Animaniacs.
Yeah, Animaniacs was shit. Freakazoid, I've always said, was like
Freakazoid, yeah.
Yeah, Freakazoid was fantastic. It was basically the kids' version of Deadpool back in the day.
Freakazoid also.
Yeah, so like, hell, even Courage the Cowardly Dog. There was so much fucked up imagery in that show.
That show freaked me out. That as a kid, that show like it was always on late at night too, right before you go to bed.
But yeah, I would be watching stuff like I watched.
Have you ever seen Salad Fingers on YouTube way back?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's the same vibe. It's the same vibe I got from Courage the Cowardly Dog.
I will say this though, I was watching like again, my childhood was weird at age 4. I was watching like shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I was watching cartoons, and then I was watching Raw's War, Nitro. And then horror movies. Excuse me. So it was just like it was just all this different Dragon Ball Z. I was watching all this different. And it was so weird. My mom was weird sometimes, so she would like.
Dragon Ball Z was violent too, and that was an '80s cartoon. She saw in the '90s.
Like my mom was weird, so there was a period where my mom didn't want me to watch wrestling, but she was weird about it because she would.
Wait, what about? Sorry to interrupt, but we were talking anime for a second. So before you go there, what about the banned episodes of Pokemon that Japan got, where the cross dressing of Team Rocket? And they went to a beach where all these girls were in bikinis. Did you ever hear about this?
No, I wasn't. Remember, I was a Yu-Gi-Oh person. It
was so provocative.
Pokemon, you damn furries. It was
banned from American television.
I've always said Pokemon was for furries and kids, and Yu-Gi-Oh is for men. Because what's more badass than Ovilus, the Tormentor, Exodia? You had your sexy ones like Dark Magician Girl and all the other fucking shit. My point is that was like the shit back then when granted I grew out of it. I think in my teens I stopped playing. I think after GX, the show GX, I kind of got confusing to me.
Yeah, I agree. That's when I was a little older, but when GX came out, I got confused too. And and then they did the 5Ds, and I felt, oh, you're talking about Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z.
People would tell me, hey, do you know how to play? I'm like, if you're talking like Egyptian god cards and prior to that, like Egyptian god cards, and then going back, yes. Yeah. But if you're talking about now, I couldn't tell you.
I collected up to 5Ds, and then I was like, this is too confusing. And then I sold my whole collection, and I made decent money. I think I made like $800.
I did too. I sold my Exodia card because I had the Exodia cards. I had the Egyptian god, had a Yu-Gi-Oh card book that I could put all my.
Did you have all 5? So I had all 5 Exodia, but like 2 of them were fucked up. So like I didn't get much money for it.
It was funny. I had the fucking actual 5 set. And then I had I don't know if they're Japanese or some knockoffs. I had those. I just thought they were kind of cool, so I had those for a long time.
The Japanese ones looked cooler. I think a lot of the Japanese
knockoffs
prints were cool. Yeah, the knockoffs were always better looking. They just weren't worth anything.
Yeah. So but yeah. So what I was gonna say though was that.
Just kidding.
But anyway, I was gonna say regarding wrestling, Bob did want me to watch wrestling for about a few years. I think until 2002, right? But it was
That's
weird.
funny you say that because like my as much as my mother was strict on like what I watched in terms of sexual content, she was also equally strict on watching wrestling because one time Jacqueline's boobs fell out. I said this.
Oh yeah.
And my mother was like, "Nope, you're not watching that." And I was like, "Oh man."
Like it was funny because I think it was from 99 to 2002. So I had a minor like knowledge of what was going on, but like I remember it was because my mom would still let me buy the toys and she let me buy the games. So even though I couldn't watch it, I could still play it whether it's figures or the games. So like I'm buying WWE No Mercy, right? And I'm wondering what the heck's going on with The Undertaker, because he's like red hair, at least in the game, and a blue vest and fucking jeans. I'm like, what the fuck? Where's Undertaker Ministry? You know, shit like that. It was just stuff like that was kind of would confuse me. And so, like, but by the time I got back in, I remember it was the first pay-per-view I watched getting back into wrestling was SummerSlam 02, which is still one of the best SummerSlams.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
You know, I did a little bit of research, like when the internet was still in its infancy, going on WWE.com. Like I didn't even know I was like, what's Booker T doing on WWE? And then I found out WCW was out of business because I was trying to find it.
I still remember the night that happened. It still blows my mind to this day. My dad didn't believe me, like, because he had not been watching wrestling for a long time. And I was like, Dad, Vince McMahon's on Nitro. And then, like,
I wonder how I would have felt as like a 5 or 6 year old kid watching WCW in 2000. I wish
I have to thank them though. Can I thank WWE? Because when WCW got purchased, my mother felt bad and finally let me watch WWF. I didn't have to sneak it anymore. So I'm like, but Mom, I have no wrestling to watch. And she's like, oh, whatever. You're old enough anyway. Thank God.
Did you guys ever stay up for the Girls Gone Wild infomercials?
Oh, the commercials, those infomercials?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever stayed up to watch it, but I can tell you what, when it was on, I stayed up. I didn't stay up to watch it, but when it was on, I stayed up, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, you stayed up all right.
For a couple seconds, and then you fell asleep.
Yeah,
after.
It was always on right after ECW.
What?
Ironically. Yeah. You know what? ECW was an extreme wrestling promotion that would be on Saturday nights at like 2 a.m. So like,
that would make sense. That would be that the Girls Go Wild infomercial would be out on after ECW.
ECW is about an hour program, and then like at 3 o'clock in the morning, you get like the Girls Gone Wild ads. You'd probably get it at 1 o'clock too, right before ECW. So ECW would be sandwiched between like tits, basically, I guess, and like. And yeah, it was pretty funny.
I talked about this when we were talking about Sabu earlier on Rant and Rave. I said about being not really. I didn't know about him until later, but like it was funny because I didn't get like. So even though I was watching certain stuff at that age, I didn't get in depth with things until probably I think high school for that, because once I read The Most Dangerous Game, the book or the story, and Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. I was into like gothic shit after age 8, but that was like those two stories, especially Most Dangerous Game, was what really got me into like exploring more detail about things. That's why I'm very, very articulate when I talk about certain things, because I would like, because I love the idea in that book where he's not hunting him for fucking money or fame or glory. It's just for sport. I thought that was so fascinating. And it got me to like look at certain things like Michael Myers, which is why I still think he's one of the most interesting character studies in all of horror, just because of the different variations of him, right? In different timelines. But that was around the time that I started looking. Like there was movies that I probably would have never watched because I would have thought they were boring. Like Tom, did you ever see Foxcatcher with Steve Carell?
I think so.
Like that movie, I never would have, even if it had something to do with wrestling, just because I thought the story was interesting. One of my favorite movies I watched later on, it was called Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I've seen that too. That's an older movie.
Yeah, it came out in 2014, I believe. Like movies like that, I wouldn't have even watched or given the time of day if it wasn't for me reading that in high school, because it got me to think more about the things. Like I love watching movies where I could just turn my brain off and fucking enjoy the shit for what it is. I'm not here to say that I'm some snob who only likes.
Those are like, so you would probably, I don't know, maybe not, but those old Japanese movies with like Jackie Chan and
well, I like watching those.
Yeah, you don't really have to like. I feel like you could turn your brain off and just
enjoy it. Like there are certain movies that I could just go and watch and enjoy for what it is.
What are those rated?
I can't remember actually.
I don't. It's kind of like just like honestly like Power Ranger fighting, pretty much. Like it's not.
Yeah, which one? Like Rumble in the Bronx or which one?
Oh, Rumble in the Bronx is a good one.
I'm talking like 80s, 70s style.
Rumble in the Bronx was 80s, right?
Was it?
I don't know. I remember Uncle.
Awesome.
My friend's father.
Get him!
Oh, it was 95. Okay,
that's
that's
right. I thought so. My friend's father. I used to stay over his house some weekends, and he'd always have these Japanese martial arts movies on, and they'd have the bad
came out
dubbing.
96 in the US, but it came out in 95 in Hong Kong.
So he's funny because he would have these bootleg like Japanese flicks on like that like were really badly dubbed. I swear to God, he knew somebody that dubbed it themselves. I don't even know, but like he'd always have these bootleg DVDs. Shout out to the Time Traveler from 2005. He'd have these bootleg DVDs and he'd play them and we'd just be walking around the house and we'd sit down and we'd watch them and the dubbing was so terrible. I swear to God, one time there was like a bus in the background. I'm like, what is this recording? But I loved it. It was like you could turn your brain off. It didn't matter what they were saying because it was entertaining just to watch, which is like wrestling like, and I think that's why I liked it. It reminded me of that choreographed style.
Well, like my first introduction to Jackie Chan, which I'm sure a lot of people was Rush Hour. Like,
that was great. See, that was after I saw that after these, but yeah, those were great.
But what I was gonna say though was regarding all that was that like, yeah, I like to turn, but like that's why I love movies like Hereditary or Midsommar or some of these movies that not a lot of people like or anything like that. Because I'm not saying people are dumb. It's just the fact that some people. Like it's unfortunate, especially I feel like this generation is probably the dumbest I've seen, and probably again I'm only one generation behind. But.
And intellectually, yes, I agree. Shows like Coast to Coast AM will never exist in the capacity that it was in the 90s because nobody wants to intellectually look at anything. They just want to follow a crowd on the internet. Unfortunately, the crowd on the internet is under the age of 18 and pretend they're older than they really are, and everybody follows them like they're.
Well, look at it this way. I know. We joked about this on Tuesday, but like, why a movie like there's a movie like fucking Minecraft does so well because it's easy. It's an easy film to give to the general audience.
Yes, but you don't need to pay it, like you said earlier. You don't need to pay attention.
Yeah,
and you can. I'm not hates it, but like I understand. Yeah. You and I understand what that movie was.
Yeah, I understand some people's issues with. I may have issues with the fact that, but again, like we are the people who are vocal about this are the minority. Yes. They are the majority. They go.
Remember when we did the Outcast back in the day, and people that were out of our demographic would bitch about the show? This is what I feel like is going on with Minecraft. I hate to say this to these people. I hate to say it, but none of us fucking asked for a Minecraft movie, so who the fuck cares what we think? It was the kids that asked for it.
And now, I will say this, though. I will say this, and I forgot to mention this last Tuesday or this past Tuesday, but I will say this regarding the Minecraft movie. I know a lot of people hated the fact that it's made so much money. I'm happy. Here's why. Because we have had a shit box office year so far when the biggest movies of the year were, or that people thought were going to be big, like Captain America, Brave New World, and Snow White. I knew those were going to be bombs. I was expecting Snow White.
Saturation, right? You know better than me, but it's just Disney saturation.
Yeah, and Minecraft did great. Sinners, I was so happy for that because I wasn't expected to do as good as Minecraft. But
is this the second year that a video game movie blew off box office doors?
I know Mario did.
Was 2024 last year.
Hell, Barbie movie, but here's another example, right? Final Destination Bloodlines come out this week. My girl and I are going to see it on Saturday, and it is not going to make a whole lot of money on its opening weekend. Most likely 70. The projection is for 60, 70 million worldwide, which it's not, you don't think anything of it, but
yeah.
For the Final Destination series, that's going to be the biggest opening for Final Destination in history. Also, here's the other thing about horror movies. Reason why, and people may know this, people may not. Reason why a horror movie could open to $15 million and still make profit is because horror movies, for the most part, are cheap to make. Terrifier, and I'll leave it with this because I'm going to get going, but Terrifier 2 was made for
it always goes back to Terrifier.
I know. For real. Terrifier was was I think actually let me double check because I want to be accurate. Terrifier 2 budget. Terrifier 2, because it came into theaters. The first movie didn't have a real theatrical release. Terrifier 2 had a budget of $250,000.
And I would not let my kids watch Terrifier.
I wouldn't either. I'll be honest.
They'll buy their own ticket.
I don't know, Chain. You'll be like, hell yeah, let's watch it.
No. There are
I'll
some
let them watch
movies
it to see how they act, and then I'll shut it off.
No, there are some movies I will not I would not show my kid. I wouldn't even feel comfortable show my kid.
Again, to be honest,
I wouldn't even feel like, okay, if my daughter was with me, right? She's 10 years old now. I wouldn't feel comfortable showing it to her until after she was 18. Like, there are certain movies I feel very uncomfortable showing a kid. And if the mom wanted to show, I would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? If I'm saying what the fuck is wrong with you, then there's something fucking wrong with you. But
I think the safe, just to wrap up the first conversation before, I think the safe bet, in my opinion, is to just watch the movie yourself, know your child and how they'll react, and then make the decision. But at the end of the day, between 13 and 18, it just comes down to the kid. And I think that there are hard no's, in my opinion, but ultimately it does come down to the maturity level of the kid. And every maturity level is different. Terrifier, for me, will never be an okay. And,
same.
But then there's certain movies that I think, like Halloween 4, I think is fine. I don't think.
Well, you know what was funny, Tom?
I don't think any of these movies are that serious. And
Tom, you know what was funny? My girl and I went to go see Terrifier 3, right? And because I got her hooked on that series, we went to go see the third movie, and there was a family. I fucking shit you not. There was a family. The kid had to be 10 or under.
I didn't even know what they were watching. Like, let's see this clown movie.
It's a Christmas movie, like even though it was in October, the movie came out in October. But still, I thought that was the funniest thing. I'm like thinking, all right, well at least I know there are more fucked up parents than I.
They're gonna see Winnie the Pooh next, or what was it?
Well, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, yeah. But anyway, I was gonna say this though: Terrifier 2, it grossed $250,000 budget, made about $15.8 million. Terrifier 3's budget, which was last year, came out. Terrifier 3 budget was $2 million. No marketing. All the marketing was fan centered. They basically, the fans were the marketing team for this movie. And Terrifier 3 made $90 million worldwide. So, and the rule of movie theaters is, or movies is, at box office, you usually have to make 2 to 3 times the budget of the movie for it to break even, not for it to be profitable, not for it to it has to break even. Then after that, you make money. So like that, for example, we talked about So White before. I've heard rumblings from $250 to $500 million with reshoots. Movie was
what's the threshold for an automatic sequel? I know there has to be a threshold.
Well, okay, so
basically the sequel pays for itself once.
Well, yes. Here's an example: the Transformers movies. A lot of them outside of the first movie, I'm counting the Michael Bay movies, were trash, garbage movies, but they were successful. That's why we kept getting sequels. 50 Shades of Grey were garbage. We saw people mention earlier, but we got sequels because there are books that have been turned into movies that got bad reviews but people don't care about the bad reviews. It's about the box office.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey got horrible reviews. I called it one of the biggest atrocities because I just wanted to see some guys in rubber outfits killing people with some funny kills, and I didn't get none of that. It was fucking stupid, and not the stupid I kind of like. The sequel, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, was a lot better. Still a garbage movie, but I got what I wanted from the first movie. But Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey made money because it was cheaply made, so they didn't have to, like, basically you could have made $2 on that movie and they could have
reused a lot of the assets in the second movie, so I'm imagining they saved
no, actually no, it's a better shot. The characters
did they use any CGI?
Huh?
Did they have any CGI budget or any? I didn't see the movie. I don't watch.
I have to rewatch it. I didn't see any real, like, if anything CGI was like blood, which I always hate.
Yeah. It's so easy to just.
But think of it this way: that bad Winnie the Pooh movie has started a cinematic universe called the Poohverse, where we're getting Peter Pan. We had Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare earlier this year. We're getting Bambi the Reckoning, and then Pinocchio Unstrung, and then we're gonna get the multi or the team up movie Poohverse or the Monsterverse or something. Monsters Unleashed. That is Monsters Assembled or something. I can't remember what the name of the movie's called. But we're getting an Avengers style Winnie the Pooh team up movie. I love it. That's why I said when I said earlier about movies that are you just turn your brain off.
They do a Mickey Mouse movie too. All right. They do a Mickey Mouse horror movie too when the license went up.
There was a few. Mousetrap was god awful. There's another one that had the guy who played Art the Clown. He played Steamboat Willie. That one I've heard good things about. It's not on streaming. I want to watch that. There's even a Grinch horror movie called The Mean One, also with the guy who played Art the Clown in Terrifier. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I love those types of movies because again, they like as someone who likes articulate movies, I love me some good cheese, and those types of movies. It's just going to give me constipation because there's so much cheese I can't handle. But yeah, so I know it went off on tangent. Don't watch any of those movies until you're older people or with parents' discretion. But you may be judged. I don't know. But yeah, so pleasure, Sloppy. At least you didn't go 2 hours. If you go 2 hours afterwards, you can't blame me. Or you can anyway,
it's all good.
But Tom, pleasure as always. I'll see you on Saturday.
I'll be on Money Stream Saturday. I promised them, and then I don't know what happened, but I'm not convinced. Money, if you're watching, I'm not convinced. Hey, when I go to the casino, it's very hard to pull me out of the casino. So I will be shocked if you actually stream. Not a gambler, but I've invested money. And once I find a spot at a poker table, I could be there for hours.
Well, hey, Tom, we'll do a stream called Saturday Night Chaos or something instead of shenanigans. We'll do that in honor of Money.
I want to do a poker stream one day. I think we could find internet poker. I want to do a stream where we all just talk and play poker.
I could play you some Texas Hold'em. So you good at Texas Hold'em?
Yeah, that's the only poker I play.
Oh, okay, good. Then we'll have fun. All right.
I think that would be fun, and I feel like it would be different. No one does that at all.
I'm trying to implement new ideas to the Outcast to make the show more interactive, so that could be something too. But anyway, I'm gonna get going. Sloppy, pleasure. Tom, pleasure as always. I'll catch you next time. See you later. Ta-ta.
Peace.
All right. Sloppy, it's funny. You get these guys, me and him both do a movie podcast. So you do a stream that's geared towards movies. And of course, we come on.
I figured when I put R-rated movies, because I know you guys like talking about that, or, you guys are more, inclined when it comes to movies like that. I figured you guys will be in it. And you guys have more knowledge than me when it comes to movies. So I was like, all right, then let them talk about the movies, the R-rated movies and the crazy movies and shit like that. So I was like, all right, cool. I don't mind it.
I would never judge Chayton for what he does because, again, it comes down to how well you know your kids, and I think that let's say you do make a decision and you let your kid watch a movie that maybe you're regretting letting them watch. It's very easy. Granted, hopefully it doesn't traumatize them, but it is very easy to notice the signs while they're watching it and just cut the cord before it gets too crazy. Because every movie has a tell, and you can sense the direction it's going. That's the point of the movie, and it's very rare that it's out of the blue without any foreshadowing. And if you're paying attention to the movie that you're allowing your kid to watch, there's either a tell or there's a mood. And you need to be able to detect those things and immediately pull the plug before you traumatize your child. Now, I personally would never put my kid in that situation, mainly because the parenting styles are different. But I also would judge someone who would do that because I understand Chayton knows movies very well, and he'll know when to pull the plug before it gets too crazy. I trust that he would know when to do that. Probably better than me because he watches these horror movies. I'm not a huge fan of horror. So to me, it's like I wouldn't know them even as well as him. So like, again, because I'm not a huge fan of horror, that's really not a movie genre that even gets played on my television that much. So my kids don't even have to worry about that. My thing would be games, and I think that that's a totally different topic. But my hard time is like deciding what game's appropriate and not. And I
Right.
think that just because there's killing that some people may say is inappropriate, I don't 100% say that that's not appropriate, because here's the thing. You may have an 8-year-old that you don't want to play a shooting game, but unfortunately their friends do.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to consume it somehow. Would you rather them consume it while you're educating them, or would you rather them go consume it somewhere else where you have no control over what they're doing in it? And
Yeah, well, I think it's more that the second part you said, the education. I think a lot of parents, they allow their kids to play the games, and then it's just a shooting game. It's okay, it's not real. But at least now educate them, like, hey, you know what, this is not real. These are breaking the laws. Don't ever think that what you do in this game you should do in real life, stuff like that. Because there's sometimes there's instances that people were like, oh, a GTA style. They kind of incorporate some of the breaking the law breakings into, oh, we could do this. It could have been GTA style, or even the news sometimes even says, oh yeah, this heist was like a game.
It. That's the concern I said earlier. When they start glorifying that violence, that's when you really got to educate the kids and be like, all right, so this is what's happening here. They're glorifying it, but this isn't glory. And here's and I'm good with that. Like my kids that I allow to play these games, the older ones, the teenagers, they understand that what they're getting into, and the younger ones are not allowed to. But like I've educated them on everything that they play, and I'm confident in saying that they know exactly what's going on and why the game is in the direction that it is. And the education is the most important thing, that is more important than the actual allowing them to do it. I think research is number one, I should say. And then translating that research into education would be number two. And that's how I feel. And I think that a lot of parents might not go to that extent, or it's easier for them to just allow them to do it. And it's lack of, again, it's that research part that really sticks. It's lack of research. And then you really don't even know how to educate, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's tough. If you don't know what you're teaching your kids, someone else is going to teach them, and maybe that other person is going to teach them the wrong way. And because every kid is looking for someone to look up to, no matter what they say. Every kid is looking up to someone. Even us, as we looked at our parents for advice, brothers, older brothers.
Even right now, Sloppy, even right now, we look up to people. Like even at our age right now, there's content creators that we look up to, but we have the idea and knowledge to, I like to say, I do anyway, where I can see the person I look up to and also see their flaws.
Right.
And I think kids lack that. It's all glory in the kid's mind. Everything's glory.
Well, when there's no one telling them it's wrong, I think that's when kids think everything's okay. And then when someone finally tells them they're wrong, because they're so used to not being told they're wrong, they kind of shut down. They're like, "Oh, what the hell? This has never happened to me before. Why is it?" And they get uncomfortable.
Some kids can't even accept it. Some kids, and that's scary, because when your kid starts always thinking they're right, and they're hard at accepting the wrong or their wrong scenario, and they don't get learned that at a young age, it's even harder for them to accept that at an older age, and that can lead to even bigger problems that might be more serious consequences down the road. But that's where I'm going to leave it. I think education, there are hard no's. There are, as I said earlier, there are things that it's just no, and here's why, and it's no. Not saying that you can't handle it, but I'm just not comfortable with you watching this. But then there are things where it's like, I'll watch it, I'll see what it's about, and then as long as I tell them what's going on and I can articulate it in an understanding way that I'm comfortable with, then I'll watch it with them. But I'm very apprehensive on my first watch through with the child. That's like not a thing I'm comfortable with. But the second walkthrough, with me understanding what I'm watching, but I can't wait till I'm older and they're older, or I can watch that first time through with them. But unfortunately, I don't think that I could do that at this point, because you never know what you're getting into on TV and on, I guess, not even TV and not even movies anymore. It is TV nowadays, because you got these series where like you don't want to get into a series and then 3 episodes in find out, oh, this isn't appropriate anymore. It just changed. And now the kid's already in it and they're like, oh, sorry, we can't watch it anymore. It's not appropriate. But
it happens a lot. It happens quite often. There's a couple of series that I've seen. I'm like, oh shit, it's pretty good. It's pretty crazy. And then out of nowhere, bam, craziness. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna.
Like Daredevils comes to mind, where I'm like, wow, this is a little violent. And every episode got more violent until you got the Kingpin smashing somebody's head in the car door until they bleed to death. And I'm like, wow, holy shit, this series is getting dark really fast. And next thing you know, you got Punisher killing everybody in a jail cell and blood everywhere. I'm like, wow, every episode is just going totally overboard. I never would have imagined from episode 1 to this. You got the Punisher covered in blood now. Complete. I'm like, yeah, that's the first series that comes to mind where like it rapidly went to like totally insane, like totally different. Like, and I, that's the thing though, like the Punisher, because one of my kids keep asking, can I watch the Punisher? And I keep saying no. You know what I mean? Because like it is a very violent movie. And like now I'm like borderline, they're like 15 almost. So now I'm like thinking like maybe it's time, but then I remember certain scenes and I'm like, it's still really violent. So then I'm like, no. But like, and I'm not just gonna be like, oh, you can watch episode 2, 8, 10, and episode season 2. That's ridiculous. So it's like I gotta like think about it still. And there are moments where I still have to think about it. And by the time I've thought about it, they'll be 18 and they'll be watching it anyway. So
you can't tell me what to do there no more. I'm grown.
But anyway, Sloppy, thank you for letting me on. I do appreciate you giving me the opportunity to give my insight on it. Just educate your kids. That's the key. Research and education.
It's the main thing, for sure.
But you have a good night, man.
Man, you too. You too. All right. Well, at least it's an hour and a half, not 2 hours. But yeah, education. Monitor your kids. Every parent is different. Every parent is a little bit more lenient, some more strict. I am the strict type. But I guess now with my newer kids, I'm a little less lenient because I know kind of what to watch for. And luckily they like Bleepy and Bluey, so I'm not worried at this moment. But when they get a little bit older, they might be different, you know? So besides that, hopefully you guys like the movies talk. I'm not very big on movie type of person, but I know some others are. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little talk. But besides that, next video, most likely I'm going to be talking about a girl that is currently sexting someone. I'm not going to say what because I don't want to mess up the whole thing. I already contacted, the police on this person, and we'll see. This person wants to meet this person somewhere. I'm just saying somewhere because I can't say the names yet, because if they watch this, then they'll know who we're talking about. So, but after I finish the second conversation with the police, then I might show the stuff on my next video. And you guys say there's no women preds, but there are. But besides that, yeah. Everybody that came in, Soviet, Caucasian Leon is sucking penis right now. News reporters, Gotcha Girl, Nick, definitely not Wayne. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. Cypress, appreciate you coming in. Who else? House of Chayton, appreciate you. Billberry. Who else? I think that's it. That was a slower stream today. And then Giselle. I think that's it. So appreciate whoever watched this nonsense. Next video will be about a pred. So I'll see you most likely Monday. All right. Peace.